Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Snow Day, your number one stop for reviews, rants, and ratings in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Hunter Verrill. Let's get started. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Snow Day. I am your host, Hunter Verrill, and today we're going to be talking about another TV show. I'm kind of getting on a bit of a TV kick. As I've hopefully explained earlier, I used to think for the longest time that video games were just the perfect medium and that there was no reason for movies and TV to exist, and I am a complete idiot because that was before I watched BoJack Horseman, Breaking Bad, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, and a bunch of other stuff in a very short amount of time, very much like leading me to understand the error of my ways. But regardless, today we are going to be talking about Invincible. Now, Invincible started out as a comic, but it's currently a TV show being run on the Amazon Prime Video service. I haven't read the comics yet, but I did watch the show. The season finale was just today, and I'm not going to get too in-depth about things because this is another one of those shows where I feel as though it's best to go in relatively blind. Like, this is one of those things where it's definitely fine to know some stuff because the show is meant to be something of a commentary on superhero shows at times, and as such there are going to be a lot of events that follow the superhero formula. You know, the plucky young teenager who gets bullied in school eventually ends up finding out that he's got these incredible powers that he's inherited from some... But regardless, the show's really good, and the reason why I'm talking about it today is because I want more people to watch it, because I want to see more of it. Actually, the show did just get renewed for a second and third season by Amazon, so that's very nice to hear, but unfortunately, for the time being, all we have are the 8 episodes that make up season 1. And I don't really know why. Unfortunately, because there's not a lot of it, but fortunately, because what we do get is incredible. Like, I do really like this show already. Now, one thing I've noticed over the years is that something is going to have a much different impact on the viewer upon its climax. Like how Breaking Bad for me was an incredible show throughout, but by the time I had watched the finale, it was something so much more than that. It was something I knew I was going to go back and rewatch just time and time and time again. BoJack Horseman too. The way things culminate in the finale is so important. The easiest example of something that the finale didn't work out, despite it being good to begin with, just take a look at Game of Thrones. The very last season, after 7 seasons of what critics and audiences could just not stop talking about, I don't hear anyone talk about Game of Thrones anymore, and I guarantee you it's because of how bad the ending was handled. The fact that a viewer base could just be absolutely crippled just by a bad ending shows how important it is to stick the landing when it comes to entertainment, which I very much reflect the sentiment of. I do feel as though it's incredibly important to make sure that the climax is the best part of the show. Ozymandias, the big culmination of all the consequences that have been building up over the 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, is considered the best episode in television history. Like, not even just in the show. It is really a true 10 out of 10 episode, a benchmark for shows that would I'm talking too much about Breaking Bad. This is an Invincible episode. But regardless, hopefully that was a good enough explanation of how important it is to have a good ending. And now it's probably confusing as to why I've mentioned it now, but allow me to cure all confusions. It's because just in this one season, Invincible has managed to make a successful arc, that being a story larger than what would be considered a chapter by TV standards. Now, it's very rare that shows end on good notes for season finales, because what they need to do is bring in more viewers and have people just chomping at the bit for the next season to come out in order to raise ratings. But better shows, not that it's always like a landmark of a better show, but it tends to happen that shows of higher quality that don't need to depend on said cliffhangers are able to give their viewers something to sate their hunger until the next season starts, like, you know, ramping up a little bit more, which is great. I think it's very nice and important to make sure that your viewers are satisfied with the endings they're given, especially when they don't have anything else to look forward to for a long time. The other most notable Amazon show about satire superheroes was The Boys, and both season finales are so nice and wrap things up so beautifully that I don't feel the need to get all itchy at my neck when I realize that it's going to be 2 years before I get to see more of that show. or more. I don't know. Anyway, Invincible. Invincible's just great, and I'm still going to try my best to stay away from spoilers as best I can to keep things relatively fresh for anyone who finds what I'm saying to be interesting, so I'll be covering the main parts of the show that stand out to me, namely the art style, story, characters, and music. Now, the art style was a little grasping to me initially because it seemed very poppy and vibrant, especially for a show of its nature, but it turns out to very well complement it. The colors are really good, like much better than I expected them to be, in sharp contrast to, again, the other superhero show on Amazon Prime, The Boys. I love that show to death, but in order to handle the messages and content that it is trying to get across, the color palette is often super gloomy, like especially dark, but Invincible is so bright. Like, the colors are better than most like children's cartoons that I used to watch. It's so confusing, but it works in the show's favor, like, surprisingly enough. Next is the story, and obviously I can't talk a whole lot about it, but it's just really good. So much better than I ever expected it to be. Which, again, I don't know why I keep saying it's better than I expected. I guess I walked into it with somewhat low expectations, but the story handles itself very much on its own. I can understand how this started out as a successful comic book without needing the all-star voice cast, the sound design, the music, in order to keep itself running, because the way things are structured narratively, it works great. The entire first episode could be treated like a Sad AM cartoon. I had no idea that what was coming was coming. Hopefully my berserk strategy of avoiding spoilers will work for this one. The idea that something is gonna happen. That has to be understood. It's so innocent for the first few beginnings, but the rating lets you know there has to be something that goes awry. I don't feel as though that's the kind of thing that, like, is really giving away too much, unless you consider meta watching to be it gets muddied. Anyway, the storyline just so well handles the machete juggling tightrope walk across a volcano that is making an original superhero show, and for that alone I feel as though it needs to be commended. Next, the characters. They are great. There is a main cast around 24, and they all get their fair share of screen time. No one feels overdone, no one feels underdone. Not even Invincible gets too much of the spotlight. They make sure that everyone receives their little time in order to best structure out the episodes. There will often be problems in shows where the A-team is only a small part of the main cast, and that everyone else is just, oh, I guess we get these characters for a bit. And it makes B-side stories so much less interesting and more just buying time so that suspense can be held for the A story. There's no point in it, and Invincible manages to break barriers with this. Finally, there's the music. I am a sucker for the music. Not all of it is my absolute favorite, but I'm very much into less accessible types of music. I'm not good with good music taste, but I was absolutely emphatic hearing Run the Jewels on this for the first time. They have bands who I can't even say the name of on air. Things certainly span, and in order to show that, they have electronic, they have pop, they have alternative, they have rap, they have rock. It's such a nice way of describing what is going on, and again, these aren't just being thrown in because it's like, oh, I guess that kind of fits this, but really we're just trying to pull people in for a trademark. No, the song is made to fit the scene. Things are carried out so carefully with so much passion that you can feel the charm oozing off of every frame, every song placement, every character, every voice line. The main cast is so good. J.K. Simmons can narrate everything for all I care. I want to hear more of him, and preferably not in Whiplash mode. I need him to be calm or something for once. Alright, hopefully I made you think a bit. Maybe you're interested in trying out Invincible. If any of this sounds interesting, remember you can check out Invincible on Amazon Prime Video, and I will see you on the next snow day. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next snow day.